So, hey Gina. Hi Judy. Judy, this should look familiar to you. This was one of the cards we did in Coffee and a Card on Wednesday. And it was also kind of a happy accident card. I was warming up, getting ready to do my Wishing You Well class, which by the way is finally live for registration at kitchentablestamper.com/online classroom. I've got a class that features Wishing You Well. And I was warming up and just trying to determine what kind of color palette I'd use and things like that. And so this was one of the cards that I made before designing the class, and it turned out so beautiful. It shows some of the versatility in the Wishing You Well stamp set. The Wishing You Well class is going to include 3 cards and a treat, and this is it. So here's another kind of color palette, little fall, just a note. Sending our thoughts and prayers. I love this. It's so calm. And then wishing you well. Look at that bow. Isn't that bow gorgeous? And then the treat box that's included in the class is this fun little box that fits 3 pumpkin spice Werther's original soft caramels. If you haven't tried these, they taste like fall. They taste like Thanksgiving. You need to go get some of those. All right, so that's the little box. This is the card that we're making today, so you can see lots of versatility depending on what colors you choose, what papers you pair with. This is a stamp set that'll serve you well forever. And the stamp set is included in the Wishing You Well class at the Kitchen Table Stamper online classroom. All right, so let me go through some of the supplies that I used to create this card while we get started here. Avenel says hello from Indiana. Hello, Avenel. You have to tell me if I say your name right. I think I got it. I remember from last time. All right, Wishing You Well stamp set. That's the one that we featured. I also used the mistletoe season for these little bells. I don't know if you guys have noticed these. These are the mistletoe season is from the annual catalog. And I really do love the stamp set. I think it's a lot of fun. But the bells are just really cool. I stamped it on the galvanized paper, and it punches out perfectly with the 1/2-inch circle punch. And look at the cute little embellishment it makes. So that's where I got the little bell, mistletoe season. I used the Stitch Labels Framelits dies, and I already did this die cutting for us for this beautiful label die here. Just cut it from some soft suede, and this is the cutout piece. I love the intricacy. Do you see the little stitches on there too? So you get the little cutouts and the little stitches. It makes a beautiful little treat box. Hey, Veronica. I'm so glad you could join us. All right, just going through the supplies here. I stamped my wreath on the vanilla and thought it looked a little open, like it was floating in there. And so I decided to go with these little spatters along the background, and that's from Swirly Bird. You might have a favorite spatter stamp from another set, but I really think it kind of closed up the space and drew your attention to what was important, the season's greetings and the bow. So that's where I got that dude. If you look closely, let's see, yep, I think the camera's picking it up fine. I've got the wood grain embossing folder, the 3D dynamic, and that's on the vanilla panel in the background there. Deborah loves Stitch Label dies. They're some of her favorite. I know, right? There's so many useful things in that die set. So many great little labels for sentiments and decorative pieces. It stands really well by itself. The stamp set that coordinates with it is great, but it definitely does stand well by itself. All right, so what else do I have here? Let's talk about supplies. Since I've already got my soft suede label out, let me tell you some measurements. I die cut that from a piece that's about 3 3/4 by 3 will do ya. We need a scrap of garden green for the little salad here, as my friend Rhonda would call it. Hey, Jackie. And this is 2 by 2.5 for punching the sprig. I've got a piece of galvanized paper here, and I love this new galvanized paper. It's not as blingy as the silver foil. It's got a more matte finish. It's fantastic. Jackie says, check it out, I'm me. Jackie usually comments as kitchen table stamper. She ends up signed in as me somehow. That's awesome, Jackie. I'm really proud of your technical skills. You're going to need a piece that's about 1 inch by 2.5 because we're going to heat emboss on here. So you need enough room to hold on to it and keep your fingers safe. So a 1 by 1 square will do ya, but do yourself a favor and get a little strip. My designer series paper is from the Farmhouse Christmas, and it's 3/4 by 4. All of this will be on the project sheet, by the way. Vanilla card base is 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4.25. And then I got a couple of vanilla layers here. This bottom layer that we're going to emboss is 5.25 by 4. Our panel for stamping the wreath is 3 by 4. And you need a scrap for the bow, because for this particular design, I love the sheer look of the bow where you can see through what it's stamped on. Like if you look in the catalog, you'll see they used the wreath and then stamped the bow directly over it, and you can see the wreath through, which gives you a sheer effect that's gorgeous. I wanted my bow to stand out just a little bit more, and the versatility is nice because when you stamp it on a separate scrap and cut it out, then you get a less sheer effect, but still all the texture and shadow and shades of cherry cobbler there. So this was 1.5 by 2.5, just a scrap. My Stampin' pads for this project are Garden Green, Sahara Sand, and Cherry Cobbler. You also need a Versamark, an embossing buddy, and this is my silver embossing powder. You need some of that too. I've got a 1/2 inch circle punch, that's to punch my little bow, and somewhere I took it while I was working on something else. I have a sprig punch. I'll see if I can find that. Hold on. We'll see as I'm working if I find it. If not, we're going to improvise. All right, so let me see here. I want to grab my Big Shot first, and let's do some embossing. I'm going to get my wood grain folder here and run that through my Big Shot. Put this dude in. Did I look behind the couch? Hecklers. I have hecklers today. No, I did not look behind the couch for the sprig punch. I actually just used it because I'm working on something for a video here. So if you haven't noticed, I have Stampin' Anonymous tutorials that are free with a purchase. And when you place any Stampin' Up order with me, you're going to get the Stampin' Anonymous tutorial. Well, I did a really cute little box for my part of the Stampin' Anonymous tutorial. And then I decided, you know, I would try and make a little Christmas version. So this is a little bit more than half the size of the Halloween one. It's really bitty. You can tell, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think, what do I have around here that you know the size of that really well, that'll show you how big this is. It's a bitty little box, but look inside. There's some fun little Christmas erasers. And so that's what I was working on. And see, here's a little sprig that I punched. I was doing that this morning. And so it's got to be on the table here. I'm sure it's not behind the couch. Gwen says it's right where I left it last. Thank you, Gwen. I'll go look there. You guys are the best. All right, so there's my folder and my Big Shots. I am not set up for embossing. I'm set up for die cutting. So let's pull out the thin die adapter. We'll throw this right on the platform. Cutting pad over the top. And let's crank her through. Oh where did I put down my sprig punch? All right, so we've got our embossed panel, which is just gorgeous. I love this folder. See that texture? Gwen says she's here to help. Thanks, Gwen. What would I do without you, sister? All right. Now let's get some Stampin' pads open and we'll do a little stamping. I just don't know how I could lose something that I really, quite seriously, just used a minute ago. I don't know how I could lose it so badly. All right, so there's our Stampin' pads. And here's the panel, the panels that we want to work on. And here are my stamps. All right. Okay. I've got the bow. I'm going to ink up in Cherry Cobbler and stamp on my scrap. Then I'm going to ink up my little wreath. Oh, I should get my sample back in here so you can see what I'm doing there. Hi, Sally. Hi, Robin. Nope, you guys aren't late. I'm just getting started, really. This is the card that we're making. I just stamped my bow and cherry cobbler. I've embossed my vanilla panel with the wood, the wood grain embossing folder. And now I'm going to stamp my wreath and garden green. And now, season's greetings. Now, here's the thing. I need a piece of scratch paper for my season's greetings stamp because with little scripty backgrounds like this, it's so easy for me to stamp them upside down. So, oh, you know what? I also completely forgot to tell you about early espresso. We'll need that for our greeting. All the supply list will be on the project sheet, so don't worry about that. All right, so let's see if we got it. That's upside down. We don't want to stamp it upside down. So I'll start on my scratch paper and then on my project. Make sure I got it the right way. And you want it lower than center inside the wreath. And gentle pressure because it's such a delicate little greeting. Isn't it beautiful? Connie says, very pretty card. Thank you, Connie. I love it myself. I really love this card. All right, now I've got my little swirly bird dude here. I'm going to grab my spatter. And I'm going to use Sahara sand. And I'm going to stamp off once and then bring the spatter. And I'm taking it from the bottom left corner up, or bottom right corner up to the top left. And the reason for that is because then the spatters kind of draw your eye across the card to the greeting and the bow. It's just, I don't know, it's like a traffic directing, you know, it just draws your eye across. So that's it, simple stamping. I'm gonna grab my, what are they called, paper snips, and I'm gonna cut this out. We're gonna have to fussy cut the bow. Let me get rid of these ink pads too so that I don't ruin my card. An open ink pad is an invitation for smudges. So let's get these out of the way. All right, better. All right, paper snips and some fussy cutting. Let's do this real quick. When I fussy cut something, I get in there with my scissors, held with my ring finger or my middle finger, usually my middle finger, but sometimes my ring finger because you want that support under the blade. Your index finger or two are going to hold your scissor and support so that you get a smoother cut. A lot of people like to cut like this, and it leaves everything all loosey-goosey. You will get a straighter line and more control if you use your middle finger and your index finger to support the scissor. Then you're going to open your scissor wide, put the bow into the cut of the scissor, into the bite of the scissor, and you're going to turn your paper with your left hand. So the dominant hand opens and closes the scissors. The non-dominant hand guides the paper that you're cutting. Try it. You'll get much better results when you cut. I feel like that's my mantra. I'm cutting with just a little border all the way around my bow. I want just that little peak of vanilla. Ta-da! I'm going to use some fast fuse. If you haven't noticed, there is fast fuse on the clearance rack. So if you're like me and you love the fast fuse adhesive, you can pick some up now on the clearance rack. MarisaAlvarez.StampinUp.net to place an order. Just ran a little bead of glue along the back of my wreath panel. And now I'm going to bring in my designer series paper and just make these two panels one. And then I'm going to put a little bit of fast fuse along the edge here and take this gorgeous braided linen trim and go across where the vanilla and the designer series paper meet. So I'll cut off a length that's about an inch longer than the panel and then wrap around into that fast fuse on the back. All right, that's a little long. Cut off the excess. All right, so there's our embellished panel. Now, so I don't lose my wreath, I'm going to grab a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue, and I should say so I don't lose my bow. I'm not going to lose the wreath. It's stamped on the paper. But let me put a little multi-purpose liquid glue on the back of the bow, and let's get that glued on place in the wreath. All right, I still have a little bit of fast fuse exposed here, so I'm just going to set that aside for a minute so it doesn't get stuck to anything. I wish I had an extra set of hands. I have no idea what happened to my sprig punch. We're approaching the place where we're going to need a sprig punch. All right, then back to our card base here. And our label. This is what I'm looking for. Let's cut this dude in half. And I'm going to use my fast fuse again and put a little line on the cut edge. See that? And so I can show you where I lined it up. I wanted just a bit of this last little scallop here, the widest one before we get down to the center. I wanted that to just peek out. So I'm lining it up above the wreath and covering that last little eyelet. And then I'll flip my paper and go for the same placement over that last little eyelet at that scallop. And you want to visualize a nice straight line under there before you burnish down. So I'm going to move that to the right a little bit. So you see we've put together this whole entire panel before we bring it to the card to glue down. Now we've got the wood grain and the emboss. Let's put some more fast fuse here. And this one we'll put so there's about equal distance between the top peak and the bottom peak of our label. And glue that dude on there. Looks like my wood grain is just a little bit wider than 4. That's all right, because it's all vanilla. We can camouflage that. And let's see here. Hi, Leah, how are you? Leah says, where did you get your Stampin' Up jacket? I got that on my cruise. It was one of the pillow gifts for incentive trip achievers. So in Alaska, it was, I think, the pillow gift our first night. I wasn't so sure about it when they asked us our jacket size, but I'm loving it, especially since it's 60 degrees and kind of rainy here today. All right, so I've got some silver embossing powder here. Let me move this dude over, and some galvanized paper, a little Versamark ink, my mistletoe season stamp set. There's 2 little bells there. I'm going with this one. Such a cutie. I'm going to ink up in Versamark and then stamp on the galvanized. Careful not to slide. You want to keep those nice crisp lines. And I'm just going to pick up a little embossing powder and tap off the excess. That's why I use these big containers. There's not a lot of embossing powder in the bottom of there, but you've got a lot of room to get your item in there and then tap off over the top and keep your mess contained. All right, just a little tip. That's how I work. Now I'm going to heat emboss this, and I'll be right back. That's only going to take a second. And I've got my 1/2-inch circle punch here. I'm going to go ahead and pop out my little bell. See how perfectly that lines up? I love it. And now we've got a dimensional little galvanized bell What a cute little embellishment, right? And really easy. You could stamp a bunch of them and just chink, 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 chink. Cut them all out. How'd you like my sound effects? It's because I can't find my sprig punch. All right, let's cover up the Versamark. And hold on just a second. Can't find my sprig punch. Seriously, it should be right here in front of me. But I did just get the Holly Builder punch off of the clearance rack. So we're going to use that one. Check out the clearance rack. Fast fuse refills and Holly Builder punch. Oh, goodness. I've got a big bucket of ribbon and everything's all spilled out of it. And the lid just fell off the table. I was wondering if I had put the big bucket of ribbon on top of the sprig punch, so I had to go check. All right, so in this case, instead of my sprig, we're going to grab our little holly, cut a couple of those. All right, I got a few little leaves here, big and little. Now I need lots and lots of dimensionals because I do not want my card to sag, but I like the little bump between the card base and the vanilla panel. Gina says, darling card, cute touches and ideas, love it. Thank you, Gina. It was a fun one to make. I really enjoyed the design process on this one. Sometimes I feel like I struggle or I rearrange things a little bit or they take longer than they should, but this one just really kind of came together. It made itself. Okay, so I've got my take your pick tool. I'm going to use that to get these rolling. I love this big piercer end. I just push against the side of the dimensional, see that? And it lifts the paper right up so you can just grab hold and take it off. It's my favorite use for this tool, although it does have many fine uses. All right, so there's my dimensionals, and we're going to center this on the card base, making sure it opens the right way. Have you ever gotten this far and then put it on the card upside down? Or put the card upside down and glued it on what you thought was right side up? I think I saw a thumbs up for that one. All right, so there's our sample and our progress so far. Now here's where we're going to get crafty, because that's what we do, right? We can solve a problem of losing the sprig punch. I don't think I can have the sprig punch be gone for too long. All right, back to my braided linen. I'm going to tie a little bow here. I put a top 5 list on the blog, kitchentablestamper.com. and reminded people to use their bonus days coupons. So here's my public service announcement again. Use your bonus days coupons. They expire on the 30th. And then I put a top 5 list, the things that I love best from the holiday catalog. And number 1 on my top 5 list is the sprig punch. So it's causing me great anxiety that I can't find it right now. Okay, so there's our little linen, braided linen bow. And I need a mini dimensional. Oh, I'm so spoiled. I need a mini dimensional and I can't find one. I guess I'm going to have to cut a regular dimensional in half or something. Leah says, just got her take your pick tool. Can't wait to use it. Leah, you won't put it down. It really is an excellent tool. All right, so my little bell, I'm going to put 1/4 of a dimensional, or you could use a mini dimensional if you can find yours. Oh, goodness. And a mini glue dot for my bow. Now, this is me improvising, everybody, so be patient. Let's see what we can do. I got the Holly Builder punch that's on clearance and one of the bigger holly leaves here. What I'm going to do is just drag my stylus from the Simply Score tool down the center and fold the leaf. So now we've given it some texture and some dimension. I'm going to do that with this other big dude. I'm just freehanding the line straight as I can get it. All right, there's couple of holly leaves. I'm going to do 3. Go with this middle, kind of little size one. Now, let's see what I want to do with that. What do you think? 3 leaves, too many leaves? I'm kind of afraid to do 2 leaves. Rules of visual rules say go with odds. 3, 5, 1, but not 2. So what I might do is take out one of these big guys and bring in another little guy and see if that helps me feel like it's not, I don't want it to take over though. See how subtle the little sprig is? Let's see if we can make the holly look a little more subtle. Are we feeling the holly? 3 looks good. If we did 3 small ones. All right, back to another holly punch. Let's get another little small one going on there. Who knew it was going to be improv at the kitchen table stamper Facebook Live? Connie says 3 looks good. Okay. Let's see. I think we're going to go with it, but 3 of the smaller ones. So what I'm going to do now is take my multi-purpose liquid glue and just put the glue down the fold so that we can keep some of that dimension. And I'm going to do, see how the sprigs kind of go out the sides? I'm going to follow that pattern with the holly. Did you guys pick up any good deals on the clearance rack? My holly builder punch, it's saving me right now. Okay, then I'm going to put this dude on with a glue dot because it's going to go kind of touch in the ribbon. Cheryl shared the video from Washington. Cheryl, thank you for sharing. I so appreciate that. I love to educate and entertain your crafty friends. Thank you for sharing the video. All right, so there's another little holly. Now let's get my little bell. I just peeled the dimensional. It's sticky now. Get my bow in there. And my little bell. I think it turned out cute with the holly too. I want that dimension to show though. Let's get those leaves so that they're open. Ha, not bad. Not bad at all. All right, what do you guys think? Oh, Connie picked up Fast Fuse refills from the clearance rack. Good job, Connie. I love the Fast Fuse. All right, so there they are. Wishing you well. It's a featured stamp set there. My Holly Builder punch from the clearance rack. Sharon says, absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Sharon. A little Fast Fuse from the clearance rack. All right, you guys. Got any questions about Wishing You Well? The Wishing You Well class is open for registration right now. kitchentablestamper.com/online classroom. The clearance rack still has some good deals out there to be had. Check it out. Let's see if I can turn that so that we don't have so much glare. There we go. And don't forget to use your bonus days coupons. They do expire in, what, 2 days? Got 2 days to use those. All right, you guys, have a great afternoon and a great weekend. I'll catch you next Friday.